Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the first ever 6FC, Six Figure Creator podcast, where we're going to be showing you we interview the top guests who have done over six figures profit on TikTok Shop affiliates. And we're going to be going over today Mr. Tim, who is the general of Six Figure Creator. We're going to go through his story, how he got here, how he's made six figures profit with TikTok Shop affiliates, and everything along the way in terms of actual structure and systems and implementation on tips and tricks. So, Mr. Tim, how are you, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing very good. How are you?
Good, good. So I think for the overall structure, so I think to start off, let's go ahead and give the people a kind of backstory of how you got into TikTok Shop Affiliate in the first place. What were you doing? Where were you working, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so when I first heard about TikTok Shop, the goal in my head was just a side hustle, right? I've spoken to a lot of people who heard of TikTok Shop and they were like so blown away by the idea that they just went fully into it. But I was completely different. I currently had a 9 to 5 job. I was working a social media marketing agency, and that was like the security blanket, right? That was kind of what was keeping me there, was that stable income from a 9 to 5 at the time. I had a wife, I had a 6 month old daughter. So I wasn't very risk tolerant yet. So when I first heard of TikTok Shop, I'm like, this is very simple. It's very simple. It's very unique. And for somebody that was constantly looking at different side hustles and wanting to try different online side hustles, because I worked remote, I figured why not? That was by far the lowest barrier of entry. Like, all I have to do is get an account and I can create videos with products I already have at my house anyway. Like, all I need is my phone. So my goal with TikTok Shop really was, I just want to make an extra $300 a month, right? I think we all know, like, before we're, grateful and fortunate enough to find success from all the hard work we do, just something like $300 a month is a big deal for a lot of people to go
100%.
along with their other income. That was honestly it. Like, when I first heard of TikTok Shop, I'm like, I could do this. And there's no way I can't make an extra $300 a month.
Yeah, 100%. So, you mentioned when you first got started checking out different side hustles. Just curious, what other
Yeah.
side hustles were you trying, and why, other than low barrier of entry, why did you decide to go with TikTok Shop Affiliate more in depth?
Well, I obviously looked into drop shipping. I looked into a lot of people have similar storylines, right? Like, drop shipping, I didn't actually get into when I dove more into the business model. It was, you needed to be running a lot of different things. You needed to have time to have a landing page. You needed to run ads manager accounts on Meta and Google. You had to have the product that you actually had to buy in bulk and then fulfill and ship out. So I didn't want to do that. Amazon FBA was very similar, right? You had to do a lot of extra things outside of just the content creation, and I didn't want to do that either. I even looked doing like social media managing on the side, because I was already doing it from a paid perspective. So I figured I could find some small clients and do that. But I just didn't want to. I wasn't super passionate about social media marketing, even though I was pretty good at it. I didn't like doing it all the time, so I didn't want to add more. TikTok Shop, on the other hand, was a affiliate model, right? So all I really had to do was take a device I already had and film content with products I more than likely already have, and I can just tag the products. So really, the outside of the low barrier to entry, for me, it was just, it required less stuff. It required less skills to like pursue, and it required less infrastructure. You really just needed an account. That was it.
Yeah, awesome. So you want to make $300 with TikTok Shop Affiliate,
Hmm.
then what? So you get into
Yeah.
it, now what?
Yeah. So I get an account. And I start out at the time. So for everybody that's watching this, if you're not in TikTok Shop yet, there was a big wave around February, March last year when I first started looking into TikTok Shop with AI videos. So this was a way for people to create AI videos with like transitions, like like pretty much Chat GPT images that you see now. And you could do it faceless. That was like my thing. I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want people to know me, which, looking back on it, was really dumb. But that's a common thing that people have, right? You don't want to be seen selling stuff. So I spent a long time just messing around with AI videos, 11 labs for a voiceover software, writing scripts. And each video would take me like 50 minutes. And then I was also working with an editor because I had a 9 to 5 job. So I would pay them to make the videos, right? And then put the script over it, just for me to put the videos out and to get a lot of violations because I didn't know what I was doing and to not really sell anything. I believed in TikTok Shop and I knew I could make it work with the skills that I had. But when I was, messing around with that, it was 4 weeks that I was doing all those videos, going back and forth with an editor, overthinking script, over analyzing the images that were used. And I had like 40 something dollars to show for it after 4 weeks. And this is a daily thing, right? I have worked a 9 to 5 and then I spent 2 to 3 hours a day doing this. So you figure after 30 days, you're spending 3 hours a day. That's 90 hours out of the month for $40. So do the math. But it didn't stop me. I lost an account pretty much. It got to like pretty much banned from violations. I couldn't use it. So that led me into April of 2024. And I decided to double down and get another account. And when I got another account, that's when I made the jump to stop messing around with AI videos. It made me very uncomfortable at the time to film myself on camera. It made me uncomfortable to make those UGC videos, but the videos were quicker. So it was actually, it was almost laziness that got me to start filming myself on camera because it was cutting out editing. It was cutting out all the other crap I was dealing with. So that I just jumped to that in April. And in April, again, still struggling, right? I started picking up live streaming, still struggling on videos, weren't really getting much at all. By the time April had ended and I was making, let's say, 2 to 3 videos a day and streaming 3 hours a day. So I'm putting even more money or more time in now, more effort, more time. And I still have a 9 to 5 during all this. It gets to the end of April and I had a massive stretch where all my videos were less than 20 views. I had no idea what was going on. My live streams, I was streaming to 4 or less people. And it gets to the end of April and I had made like $350 at the end of April. So if I look back now, if I reflect now, I hit the goal that I had in the beginning for TikTok Shop. I hit the $350 a month. But I told myself, like, if I'm spending this much time to get that $350, if I just get better, get more skilled at the time I'm spending, it should be more than $350. So it kind of gave me the confidence to make more than that bare minimum.
Yeah. And were you, so during that, when you make your $350, are you watching other people's wins? Are you knowing that other people are making like 10,000, or did you not look at anything and you were just kind of trying to figure it out and not understanding that other people are making like $50,000 in a month?
I did have an idea when I first got into TikTok Shop. You get caught with YouTube videos or Twitter posts or Instagram stories about the dollar amounts that people are making. When I first got into it, that was kind of what made me very comfortable with aiming at $300 a month. I was playing it safe. I'm like, if some people are making, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, all the way up to $20,000 a month, $300 a month should be very easy. So I did have that idea. And when it hit the end of April and I had made $300, so we're looking at $400 total in 2 months doing TikTok Shop. At the time, at the end of April, I had seen somebody with quite a few videos blow up and they had like a $4,000 day. So when that happened, I'm like, okay, like this is very well worth putting more time and more energy to get better at. Because at the time, if you count the money I spent growing the accounts, it was a wash. I had like made nothing. And if you count the supplements I bought, the products I bought to actually sell, I was actually in the negative. So it was just knowing if other people are doing this, then there has to be, like, I have to be able to do this. And the only way is just to keep making the videos, keep doing live.
Yeah. So like in this time, you would say that your feelings are of like hope. You're not doubting or worried, or you just made $400 over 2 months. You have no worry. You have no doubt. I think one thing that's pretty big is that you didn't really have high expectations. So even though you barely met your goal, like even just under, because you didn't have those high expectations, maybe it was actually a good thing. because I think maybe talk a little bit about how most people, we have a lot of people, thousands of people in 6FC, maybe how most people kind of doubt and worry and set such high expectations in comparison that they end up not hitting their goals or comparing themselves and getting in their head, right? So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that kept me grounded, to your point, having low expectations off jump helped a lot because I was very honest with myself. I understood that I'm not going to be as good at content as people who at the time had been doing it for 3 months. I knew that. Um, the thing that we have now, of people that are joining 6FC, and we have so many success stories from people that come in there, and there's a lot of common themes between the people, but it's understanding where they're at in their journey. That's almost a guaranteed recipe for success. And when people come in and they see other members of ours making 40, 50, 60,000, up to 100,000 a month, and they're just starting TikTok Shop, they're expecting that almost in 2 to 3 weeks, and they feel discouraged. And depending on the kind of person you are, if you feel discouraged instead of feeling inspired, you're more than likely going to, the wheels are going to fall off and you're just going to stop. Versus people that come in and they feel inspired by what other people are doing, which is where I was. You know, I'm at the point where I'm in the red, and I have a different job that occupies a lot of my time, 6-month-old daughter. But I recognize, I'm like, okay, like I'm inspired by what other people are doing, and I do believe my time is coming. So I just have to keep doing this versus other people that get frustrated. And when you get frustrated, it shows in your content, I think.
100% it does, for sure. It's a reflection, right? To rewind in your story for a bit, because you basically you transitioned from doing AI affiliate content. I remember the early days of that into then videos, basically because you didn't want to do all the editing. You had a 9 to 5 job. You didn't want to do all that. And so you transition your actual format. For people who are struggling, for TikTok Shop affiliates who are struggling currently with their current format, how long would you say, after making hundreds of thousands and switching formats, how long would you give someone until they should switch format, or should they double their inputs? Like, what advice do you have someone who's actually struggling with their current format in TikTok Shop affiliate?
I do think it's the frequency of videos that you make, because at the time when I was doing AI videos, I mentioned it would take me a while. So I would post maybe 2 of those videos a day. And then when I got into making UGC with just on camera, I was making like 3 videos a day. So I upped it by 1. If I had committed to making more videos, I think I would have recognized what a waste of time the AI videos were quicker. And I think I would have found success on the UGC style videos quicker. So as far as I don't want to, the timeline's going to be a little different per person. If you're doing something for a month and you're continuously reflecting on the content you make, like, is it good? What adjustments you can make? It will without a doubt be less than a month before you realize if you should make a shift or what you should change. For
Yeah.
sure.
Also to add, maybe also the quantity of posts, right? Because if you say, guys, like if, for all of you watching, if you're TikTok Shop affiliates currently and you make 2 videos a week, right? Even if you have a 9 to 5, right? You make 2 videos a week and it's a specific format. That's not enough inputs as opposed to actual outputs. Now, knowing, because we both have a major belief in terms of just focusing on the inputs, what would you say to people who are not putting in the inputs or who are not getting the results about how we believe in terms of inputs equals outputs? Like, talk a little bit about how important it is to actually just simply put in the work and put in the quantity of videos to get better.
I uh what I will say is I think if you're a TikTok Shop affiliate and you face some sort of adversity with violations or stretches of videos with low views, if we recall back when I was saying I posted 3 times a day, and for about a week, each video was getting less than 20 views. So I'm already posting a decent amount compared to most TikTok Shop affiliates. I wasn't posting enough to get better faster, but I was posting more than the majority. So seeing them underneath 20 views when I knew they could be better, but I knew they weren't terrible, was very confusing to me. And when I broke through that stretch and I started getting the normal 200 to 300 again, I was ecstatic. I didn't care if they were selling anything. I didn't care really about any amount of commission. I didn't care about likes. I cared about absolutely nothing outside of the fact that, oh, okay, this is at least going out to 200 to 300 people. So I'm good. Eventually, if I just keep making these, I'll get better at them, and one thing's going to explode. So I think the kind of like the stretch of making no money and having very little views helped me a lot, because when it went back to the normal experience, that's all I cared about. I didn't care about money. I knew if I just went live every day, if I made these videos, the 2 to 3 a day, and they're getting that views, I'm fine. Something's going to happen. I just made the videos and I didn't even look at the dollar amount being made.
Yeah, 100%. So, in terms of, I think the expectations creeped in again and helped you out because, once again, most people, most TikTok Shop affiliates want a base of 5,000 views or 2,000 views, and they have these high expectations that they're not going viral after 5 videos or 10 videos. And because they have those expectations high, they end up getting beat down on themselves and getting into low emotional states like, anxiety, or they get mad at themselves, or they start comparing. Comparison is the thief of joy. So, I actually, although it's good to have big goals for the audience, although it's good to have huge goals, right? Like we all want to have very big goals. We all want to hit our goals and grow in wealth, right? It's important to note that in TikTok Shop Affiliate, people make so much money and they're at, like Tim said, they're at different stages of their journey. You have to understand that having too high of expectations for yourself when you're not that skilled is just going to delude yourself into thinking you should be somewhere when you're not yet ready to be there. Right. I hope that makes sense, guys. So I think you mentioned live streaming. You mentioned going live every day. So walk us through now. So you go from AI content for a month. It's not working after 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's not working. You decide to make the decision to switch formats out of, there's a lot going on, editors, et cetera, et cetera. You decide to switch to more UGC focused content just because it's easier and you didn't even realize it at the time, but way better. Right. And so now you're doing UGC content. You talk about live streaming. I think you said now we're in April in terms of like 300, you made $400 total over the past 2 months. Now
Yeah.
what? Where are we at now?
Yeah. So then it gets to May, early May. And at the time I had two accounts. One of them I actually completely forgot about. So there was the one that was experiencing the very low views, and I was kind of just letting that account do its thing. And I created what was called back then a loophole account.
Yeah.
And that loophole account, I remember vividly, I posted the first video on it and it got like 12,000 views. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Made like
Yeah.
$60. And then the very next day, the account got banned. So now we're like, I finally tasted some small video success. The
Yeah.
account gets banned. I don't get any of the commission. So now I'm back to one account. And I think it was just not caring that the other account got banned. And for some reason, I just went back to the other one. And I told you guys views went back to normal. So there was a little detail before then where I actually tried to leave it alone. And then I was pretty much by circumstances outside of my control, pushed back to that account that I thought had a problem. So I fire back up the videos, I fire back up live streaming, and I start making okay money live streaming. I was selling Knobs toothpaste at the time, and I was making like $20 an hour live streaming, which is pretty solid, right? I was doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, 2 hours. I would take my work meeting, my lunch, right? I would take 90 minutes and stream in the middle of the day, and then I would stream again afterwards. I would hit like 2 to 3 hours, make like $60, which was really cool. At the same time, I'm still making videos. I never stopped like doing both styles of content. Even when one started to outperform the other, I always did both. Um, what changed for everything, I think it was May 3rd. It was May 3rd. And for some reason, just decided to try streaming a different product. I went to Micro Ingredients, Vitamin D3 and K2. And I started the stream, the normal like work lunch stream. And at like 15 minutes in, the normal 15 to 20 people I had shot up to like 600. And at first, I'm kind of, I was surprised at myself that I just kept going on as normal when it jumped to 600. I think it's because I was visualizing it so much that I wanted to make sure I didn't trip up when that opportunity came. And I went from making $20 an hour on Knobs toothpaste to, in this 90-minute break in between my 9 to 5 meetings, had made $700 in an hour and a half. So
My
I was mind
gosh.
blown. Like at the
Yeah.
time, like for those of you that are in here, if you're in TikTok Shop or you're just getting into watching the courses in 6FC, I didn't even know how to pin a product. I had no idea how to check sales. I just knew that there was a lot of people in the room, and I would keep getting the alert that people are looking at the product, right? You're getting product views. Had no idea how to do any of that. So I get off the stream and I'm like, I had to sell some stuff, right? Like there's 700 people in there. I had to sell some vitamin D. So I go into the creator center and bang, it was like $758. I was like,
My
wow.
gosh.
I was mind blown. I remember I went in and told my wife, and I did the whole game, right? You know, like, oh, how much do you think I just made? And she starts out at the $20, and it's like 2 minutes later, and we get all the way up to almost $800, and she could not believe it. So what I did was I called in, told my 9 to 5 boss I was sick, and I went back out there and I streamed again. And before I streamed, I made 2 videos on that vitamin D. And then I went back and started streaming it, and I got to 500 plus viewers again. And I finished the day at like 1.3 thousand in commissions, which was nuts. Because if I look
Yeah.
back at my monthly goal, that was 4 months worth of that monthly goal in like 5 hours streaming.
Yeah.
So it was insane. And that like ignited something very deep. And I went like crazy over the month of May with inputs.
Before you go into this, because this is good. So you're doing like $20 an hour on Knobs toothpaste. Your wife's probably like, okay, that's pretty good, right? Like it's actually internet money, 100%. By the way, I have the same exact journey. Like guys, we have the same journey. I'm doing a certain supplement, right? Or I'm doing a different product. I'm doing like $20 an hour, same thing. And then boom, I switched to the same product as Tim. This is how we found each other. Switched to the same product. And I do less than him. He's better than me at live selling. I do less than him, like $300 in a stream. Same exact thing, right? I go in the room, tell my roommate, like, how much do you think I just made, right? It's like the same exact thing, right? It's the whole same game. So tell us, like, walk us through like the emotional state. Cause like, were you like super excited, or were you just like you knew it was gonna happen? Because for me, I was jumping up and down, like I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah. Like I think you have that confidence that it's going to happen, but you
Yeah,
almost expect a ladder, right? Like I
yeah,
expected to go from $20 an hour, maybe I'll get to $50 an hour, and then now I'm at $100
100%.
an hour. I did not expect to go from $60 an hour to like $390 an hour. That was
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah,
Um, and where I kick myself is that I didn't, we'll go into it later, but that I actually let my 9 to 5 job that paid me 5,500 a month get in the way of content creation and live streaming. Um, and I think what's crazy about live streaming, and I know you feel the same way, is like when you're having a successful live stream, even if you just grinded like crazy, but when you shut it off, and the first thing that pops into your head was like, man, did I just make a mistake? Like, are the viewers still going to be there? Are the conversions going to
always.
be there? It's a weird feeling of like satisfaction, accomplishment, but then also a little bit of worry. And then also trying to push down a little bit of greed because you're like, oh, I just made $1,000 in a day. Um, but what I did more than anything else was I was very excited and I just kept pushing myself to try to get new numbers, right? Like, oh, can I stream for 7 hours and hit $2,000 a day? Can I stream for 9 hours and hit 3,000? Like I was like, I switched back into maniacal input mode, and that's all I focused on was every day I'm at zero, and how can I recapture that feeling? And nothing ever beats the feeling of the first day like that, but you get a little bit of solace knowing that a day that made you so happy, you beat it in commission. So you just know that you're growing by doing that.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about that, right? Because I think a lot of TikTok Shop affiliates who end up earning six figures on the platform, they get, or even a couple $1,000s, you get numb to the actual numbers, and it's like becomes numbers on the screen, so you get super numb. So advice to TikTok Shop affiliates who are making money and starting to feel numbed down in terms of feelings. They're starting to compare. They're starting to say there's not another zero. Like, what's your advice to them? Because I've experienced it. You've experienced it.
Yeah, you really have to become committed and satisfied with the inputs that you're making. You have to be satisfied with the quality of videos that you're making. You have to be satisfied with the quality of your live streams. And the reason I always hammer to everybody when you're finding success on one medium, right? One style of TikTok shop content is to not ignore the other side, right? Because As the first week of May kept happening, but from May 3rd to May 15th, I'm making 2 to 3 videos a day, not really finding a ton of success, right? But on videos, on live stream, even with a 9 to 5 job, even with a 6 month old daughter and finding time for my family, even with going to the gym pretty much every single day, I would stream from 7 in the morning till 9 a.m. when my 9 to 5 job started. If I could fit a stream in the middle of the day, I would. If I couldn't, I would stream from 7 p.m. when my daughter went to bed till midnight every single night. And I was hitting, it was the very next day, I hit a $2,000 day. And then 2 days later, I hit a $3,000 day. And then it was 2 more days after that. I keep hitting those, like it was plateauing a little bit. And then I hit like 3.7 thousand from live streamings. Like that was it. I wasn't making any money on videos, but every single day I just kept thinking like I've been doing this for 2 months and I've been waiting for this. So every waking moment that I wasn't trying to be present with my family, and we talk about buckets, right? Like you have buckets of family, buckets of work, buckets of personal time. And even if you want to split it 8 hours each bucket, sometimes in life you have to pull from some and put it in the other because the opportunity is too great. And every waking moment, I was thinking about I have to turn on the stream. I have to make more money. I have to pay this house off. I have to get a security blanket. I have to do things for my wife and daughter. I have to. I have to. It's been 2 months of waiting for this. So now I have no choice. Like it was, the dollar amount meant nothing. I just knew I had to maximize my time in this breakthrough because I didn't know when it would stop. Um, what happened was that, and I knew a test was coming, right? So I actually got a violation. And at the time, TikTok Shop's a lot more lenient with violations now. Back then, there was a 24-point system, and they just completely stopped with 1 pointers, 3 pointers. You only got 6 point violations back then.
Yep, I
Violations were very,
remember.
very bad. And I got to 18, and it cut my shop ability off for 3 days. So for 3 whole days, I couldn't stream, I couldn't make videos, and this was after making like $10,000 plus in a week. I'm like, wow, I really, the only thing I could kept thinking about, and I had to keep burying it, right, was when this time is up, is the live stream going to still work? Are still people going to be in there? Am I still going to get buyers, or am I going to get punished by TikTok because I had violations? Um, so that day comes, right, and it's May 14th, and I'm finally able to get back on shop. I start live streaming, and there's like this huge sigh of relief when I see the viewers go up, not to what they were before, but when they get up to like the 100 range, because I was so confident in my skills at the time that I could sell to less people and it'd be just a higher conversion rate. I'd make the same amount of money. And with that stream, I went for a long time. I think I went 5.5 straight hours on that stream, and boom, it was another $3,000 day. After 3 days of just sitting there, like spazzing almost, because I was scared it wasn't going to be back, right? I wasn't going to get the viewers, wasn't going to get the conversions. But what happened was that the videos I kept doing every single day, at this time, the videos would still take me like 20, 30 minutes a piece, and I would do 3 of them. And I kept telling myself, like, no, it's still worth it to do videos. Could I spend the other 90 minutes live streaming? Sure, but I'm still going to do these videos. And I got off the stream and I went inside, decompressed a little bit, took a shower, got out, and a previous video of mine for the same product I was live streaming went from 10,000 views the previous day to, before I went to bed, it was at 600,000. So a video is exploding, right? And this
Yeah.
this was another one where all of my attention on inputs, and to an extent, if I'm honest with myself, outputs, was on live streaming. I didn't care if
Yeah.
my videos were doing well or not. I had zero care in the world. So I get out and I look, and that 3.1 thousand from live streaming is now at 3.9. And it's like another $800 in the last hour because the video is going insane. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty nuts. That's cool. It went up to 600,000. But I got to go to bed because I'm going to wake up. It's my wife and I's anniversary tomorrow, and I have to get streaming in. I still have to do all this other stuff. So I went to bed, and I woke up, and the video had gone from 600,000 to 1.2 million. Right. And this has happened in, like, it just doubled in views. Right. So I look at my commissions, And I'm a live streamer primarily at this time. So it's all active income. It's a very quick dollar on TikTok Shop, but it's active. You have to be streaming. Videos are super passive. And this video was a month old. So I look at my creator center and I'm at $3,000 in commission and it's like 8 in the morning. And I'm like, my screen time that day compared to what I was normally doing was really bad. Like I would flick down on the updates and it would be like
Same.
300 likes every time like every second. It's like 300 likes. And it's my wife and I's anniversary, right? So we're both just watching it climb from 1 million to 2 million to 3 million to 4 to 5 all in one day. And we get back home from taking our daughter out, going out to our anniversary dinner. I took them shopping, right? Because by the time we got there for our anniversary dinner, I'd made like $6,000 that day. And when we get back, I'm like, you know what most people would probably do is they would take this as a win and they would take the day off. And I can't, I had heard horror stories of people just having one big video and quitting. I did not want to be that person. So I told my wife, I'm like, I know it's our anniversary, but I have this feeling with how TikTok works. Like if this video popped off after a month, I was live streaming the same product. I think they have to feed each other. So while
Yeah.
this video is going viral, I'm going to go live. And I went out there from 7 p.m. to midnight, and the video ended up making me $8,000 that day. But because I went live for another 5 hours, I made another 2,000. So it got me to, it was like 9.8 thousand that day. So 1,800 came from live. Was that 1,800 the same as the video? Like, no, the video made me way more, but I firmly believe that when I streamed that day, that's what made it go even more nuclear the next day. Because then the next day happened. And again, I streamed for 7 hours that day and I made 11.4 thousand. That was my biggest day, right? Biggest day ever on TikTok Shop. 8,000 came from the video, 3.4 came from live streaming. So if I wasn't doing both of those and they weren't feeding each other, I wouldn't have had almost 3 straight $10,000 days and a video go from 10,000 views to 10.5 million in just 3 days. So I do, I don't really look back and like from an ego perspective and like pat myself on the back and really do anything like that. There's no point. But I am happy that when I was given the chance and I could have very easily had been satisfied with $8,000 days, I still streamed for long hours all of those days. And with how, I mean, this is just how life works. You get those crazy highs, and then it was like 2 days later, the video is still getting me probably $3,000 to $4,000 a day at this point. Not only does the video get a violation and completely deleted, right? So most of the time, a video gets a violation and the video is still there. It's just blurred out, right? Like you have to appeal it. Hopefully TikTok reverses it. But the video was straight up deleted from my account. And the worst part was that I told you before I was at 18 points. I told you before 24 points is what kills your account permanently. And I also told you what the average amount of violation points were, and it was 6. So 18 plus 6 is 24. So not only was the video removed, my account was killed. The money-making account was just smoked. So you go from the craziest of highs to the point where my dopamine took months to recover.
Yeah.
And then you just go to the cellar of lows when they take everything away. Thankfully, I was still able to withdraw the commissions, right? I'm very grateful. That's how that month turned into a $52,000 month, which is nuts to me to look back on. But that's how life works sometimes. And if you're going to be given the grace and the opportunity to make that much money, you better be prepared for it to just be taken away. That's part of the learning process. But it was a wild week.
Yeah, that sounds like a wild week. Like literally, so guys, he goes from March, he's doing like $40 in the first month or something. Then April, he does like a $350. So he makes up his $400 average of $200 over 2 months, right? Like literally he's making no money. He's continuously, because he has like the expectations a little bit lowered as terms of what he wants out of this business model, he didn't really care that much. He just kept grinding because of those expectations were set actually a little lower, which is actually a good lesson for a lot of people because they set them too high. And he goes into and he starts doing videos. He starts doing live. He switches to UGC content. He does have like a one good video pop off and do 12K on the one account. He's got two accounts. Then he goes into live streaming. He's making some good money, like $20 an hour with Knobs toothpaste. And then boom, he switches to micro ingredients, multi-collagen. At the time, they were trending up, and he starts hitting $700 in one stream, $1,000 in one stream, right? He goes through this whole understanding of he's making now $1,000 a day off these streams, $2,000. It keeps picking up. It keeps picking up. In fact, I want to actually end there real quick because I want to go. We have a lot to pick up on through the dots here. So for TikTok Shop affiliates, you go from $20 an hour to making $1,000 on your live streams. What would you say the one secret is for TikTok Shop affiliates who are going live and why you had that big pivot from $20 an hour to $1,000 streams?
Yeah, so I think there was a couple different factors. And I do think, I always say I'm a firm believer in luck. Like the harder you work, the more you seem to find. And there are times in life where the dots just kind of line up. And when I switched to vitamin D, there was a couple things going on. One, there weren't a lot of live streamers, period, because it's a bigger commitment for people. And a lot of people are nervous to go live and talk to strangers. So I knew I had that going for me because I didn't care. Two, I'd been doing it for a month. So I was already far better than I was at the beginning for live streaming because live streaming forces you to get better. If you don't get better, you don't sell. If you don't sell, you don't get more viewers. It's all related to how you perform. And it brute forces you in a live setting. And the other thing I did was when I switched to the right product that was going viral, it still had live streamers. It wasn't like I found a product that didn't have live streamers. Like micro ingredients, collagen, and vitamin D were everywhere on live streams back then. But when I switched, I did something different. And I was only able to do something different because I had spent a month learning. And that was that I included storytelling. I included benefits of the product and storytelling at a time when primarily on live streaming, people were just selling the sale, maybe a very brief introduction of like the ingredients, but I took it a step further because I knew about it. I liked nutrition. And I personally noticed a difference when I had vitamin D deficiency. So I just put all of that into the stream and it jumped to, at its peak, like $600, $700 an hour. So I think those three things were very big. And if you're new to live streaming, I think the more you learn, the more you're able to explain, the more you're able to emotionally connect with people. It's very powerful. And that was something I took advantage of early on in live streaming.
Yeah, so I think one big secret also, guys, is that with me for live streaming, my best month as a live streamer was like $16,000 in a month from live streaming. Tim does $50,000 in a month. And so what was the key for like a triple in terms of why I did 15, he did 45, 50 is because I always sold the sale. And because I sold the sale, if you get fed 100 viewers, those 100 viewers don't all know about the product. They need to be sold on the product. So Tim gets 100 viewers, and Tim can convert 50 of those people because he could take them from unaware that they actually have a problem to actually fully problem aware and solution aware, and he could sell them on the product actually like a real sales pitch, right? Versus me, I was just simply selling the discount and the sale, which is why we have such different results. Like $15,000 a month is great. Don't get me wrong, right? It's a six-figure income online, but $50,000, I mean, that's 3 months of me working for live streaming. It's because the one big secret is because he actually wanted to go the extra mile and develop a knowledge gap and actually educate people on these products, right? Like how closely, like it basically is sales, right, Tim? Like live selling is live selling, right? It's just like sales door to door, just like sales cold calling. Like talk a little bit about that. It literally is a sales job. And the more knowledge you have and the more that you can educate the consumer and show them their problems, the more people you could sell, right?
Yeah, it's very powerful. And plus they connect with you on a deeper level because you're almost calling them out in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think coming from paid media and just paid marketing in general, I would see the comments, right? Like you see the comments on the live stream. I remember first starting out with vitamin D and I would get people asking questions, like what is vitamin D deficiency? Or they would say, what's the best form of vitamin D? Or they would say, I would always mention like this is the most bioavailable form, just as an example, right? The most absorbable form. They would ask, well, what is the most absorbable form? And then I saw all these questions coming in, and I went, oh wait, like a lot of people don't know what this is. They don't know what it is, and they don't know what solutions or problems it solves, solutions it offers. And they don't know what makes the product unique. So that's when I started incorporating, like that minute, I just incorporated all of those elements. And that's when sales really started picking up. Like you have no way of telling what stage of the marketing funnel the 100 concurrent people are in a live stream. But when you start getting comments at the beginning, right, you're getting data, you're getting information, then you can start painting a picture. You're like, okay, there's a good mix here. And if there's a good mix, I might as well start my story, start my sales pitch, start my script, which I never wrote anything down. It was all free flowing, but you have a script structure in your head. And I figure I'll take everybody through the journey then. Because if you already know what vitamin D is, maybe you need to be sold on the combination. This one has K2. Maybe your vitamin D doesn't. Maybe you're taking vitamin D2 and not vitamin D3. And here's why that's different. Like you assume even if they know what vitamin D is and what vitamin D deficiency is, they still have to be sold. Not everybody's at that point where they've seen the product and it's on sale and they want to buy it. But
Yep.
75% of people will get hit right here. And you drag them all the way through. And the people that are interested in just the sale, they'll still buy. But
Yep.
they're also going to bring on 5 to 6 more people that were sold along the way.
Yep. Gold. Gold. So I think, look, you've done hundreds of thousands on the platform with TikTok Live, and you contribute a lot of it to your storytelling and to being able to tell stories and how to solve their problems and contribute and answer their objections through storytelling. So do you have a storytelling framework? What is the storytelling framework?
Yeah, I would always start off the live, kind of going into what made the live unique. At the time, I would say that the product is having a crazy flash sale. At the time, I would say the product is low on stock. I would almost say something at the very beginning of the stream. This is like minute zero, second zero. That's how I would start off the stream. Thank you guys for coming in. The reason I hopped on the stream today is X, and it would usually be about products availability, product effectiveness, or product sale. But then when I would go into the structure, I would talk about in the beginning, like what the product is. So at the time, it was vitamin D3 with vitamin K2. And I would say this one has coconut oil. And if you look on the back, it's using these kinds. Okay, vitamin D3, cholecalciferol. This is the most absorbable form, but it also has vitamin K2. If you've been taking vitamin D and you're still experiencing the same symptoms that I had with D3 deficiency, which is poor sleep, maybe you have a weak immune system, maybe you have spiked cortisol, which is increasing your stress hormone, it's because you're taking the wrong form. Now, if you take this form in the right amount, okay, most D3 supplements you guys see on the shelves, it's got 2,000 IUs, 3,000 IUs. The average person in the United States, especially in the North, and I would ask people where they're from, I'd say, I'm from Michigan, right? We have 6 months of gray here. You need to be taking 8 to 10,000 IUs a day. So if you're not doing that, if you're taking the wrong form, you're having the same issues and frustrations that I had, which is that I'm buying these different vitamin D supplements. I'm paying more per soft gel, or I would have to take a capsule, or I would have to take a liquid, or I'm taking one with the wrong kind of oil. But if you're taking this one, it has coconut oil. And if you guys didn't know, vitamin D3 is fat soluble. So the fats in coconut oil help it absorb better. But it also has vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 helps carry D3 to your bones. So if you have weak bones, it helps absorb the D3. Like the
So
structure really goes from the problems and like what makes that product unique, the solutions it solved for me, and then the solutions it could solve for them. And then it goes into this, like the actual sale part, why they need to buy it here because of how cheap it is compared to big box stores and how, like at the time, it is a 300 soft gel pack. So I would say you're paying 3 cents a day. You get almost a year's supply, 3 cents a soft gel if you buy right now, compared to paying the same price for just a month's worth at the big box store. So that's kind of
yeah,
long winded, but
No, no, perfect. So for some people who are a little bit like, oh, he has a lot of knowledge because you do come from that background, right? What would you say very simply someone should do? What action steps should a TikTok shop affiliate do who wants to make tens of thousands of dollars with live streaming? What action steps should they do to develop more knowledge than the rest of the people, than the rest of their competitors, live streamers, right?
Yeah, yeah. The product knowledge is everything. And I'll tell you guys this, like the more, obviously, the more you stream in this style, the more second nature it gets, and the more you can adapt to questions that come in as you're doing your sales pitch or your script, right? But I took an hour and just dove into the product. That was really it. I first thing that I did was looked at the ingredients in a supplement. You're selling a health supplement. Okay. You're convincing people that something about their everyday life that's hindering them, that's causing frustration, this is going to be the solution. So you have to know what you're talking about. Because if they ask you a question and you stumble, even if one person asks a question and there's 50 people in your live, all 49 other people are like, I don't know about this now because it's a supplement. So I would look at the back of the pack. I would say, cool, it's got vitamin D3. I would look up like what's the best form of vitamin D. I would look up what the most absorbable form is. I would say, literally ask, why does this supplement have vitamin K2 in it? Because the ones I was taking didn't. So why does it? And then I'd get the answer. Cool, that's a good answer. And then this one has coconut oil. Why? What does coconut oil do? Why is it in a vitamin D3 supplement? And then literally the first response was, well, vitamin D is fat soluble. It needs fats to absorb. That's why there's coconut oil in there. So, and that was all done in probably even less than an hour. And you get those main bullet points and you just authentically explain them. Like it's probably new information to you. So if you found it new and helpful, then you just explain it in the same way you received it. And people will probably have the same revelation as you, like, oh, wow, I actually was wasting money on the other vitamin D3s. I actually have spent my hard earned money on vitamin D and didn't feel any difference. This might actually be why, because this makes sense. And then the longer you do it, the more, like in that same hour, I just looked up symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. And you'll get some that are very broad to the point where the majority of people are experiencing this problem. When you figure out the vitamin D3 symptoms, again, this is all happening in the same hour, guys. It was not very difficult. Then you look at how deficient are people in vitamin D. Well, in the United States, it's one of the biggest deficiencies we have. It's like 60 to 70%, depending on the area of the United States. So even people in where Jordy lives, even people in Florida, if you don't go out enough, if your skin doesn't absorb it well enough, you're still going to have to take some. So that I did all that in an hour, guys. It was very easy to do, and that information will never leave you. You're going to have that for every stream that you do, and you'll learn more about it.
100%. Perfect. So, okay, so for live streaming, a couple key tips, guys. I hope you guys are writing it down. There's a lot of key tips in there on how you can make multi six figures with live streaming. Okay, so next week we'll have on Mason, our coach Mason, who's done over $250,000 on live alone. He's going to break down everything you need to know in terms of live tips, tricks, and strategies. So make sure you guys subscribe to this new podcast so that you guys can get the tips and tricks next week for Coach Mason for live streaming. Now, Tim, moving on from your story, you're making thousands of dollars on live streaming a day, and then you have this video pop off, right? You're not thinking anything of, once again, you have kind of low expectations for videos. You're all in on live streaming at the time, and then boom, you have a video pop off. It goes from 0 to 10 million views like pretty much overnight in 72 hours. You go from going literally from $0 on videos to doing an $8,000 day on videos, up to $10,000, like $10,000 a day in a row. So 3 days in a row you do 10K. About the video and the video, like videos themselves, what do you think took the video off? Why do you think that video did super well? Tell us a little bit more about the video itself.
Yeah, so I was still every day watching viral videos from other people, learning what made them take off, watching how fast they took off. And the storytelling that I did in my live streams helped me tremendously in making a video because I assumed if I'm going to be going out to 90% of an audience that doesn't know what this product is, I should speak. My script in the video should replicate that. So I did a pretty different framework in my videos that I did before, and I took viral style that was kind of trending at the time, where it was just, listing symptoms, and I tweaked it a little bit. I started off the video initially without even getting into anything, just naming off, if you've been struggling with X, 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 and X. And then I just tied that into cortisol. And then I tied that into being the stress hormone. And then I tied that into being vitamin D, like that. Just after the beginning part of just listing what those symptoms were, I actually replicated a very similar structure to what I just mentioned on a live stream. And I brought people through the journey. I just explained what the vitamin D was. I showed them the soft gels. I told them how this one actually has coconut oil versus a synthetic oil. I told them that it's got 10,000 IUs, which is actually what you need to be looking for. All the other ones are way too low. And then at the end, I told them, listen, if you click the link in the bottom left now, you'll get these for 6 cents a soft gel. You're getting a year's supply for 20 something bucks. I think it was like 25 bucks at the time. So if you want to get the first vitamin D that actually made a difference for me, you need to use this link down here and hurry before the sale ends. And I would just tie it up with some urgency.
Perfect.
I think the video did well because we kind of know at this time now that people who watch your lives are retargeted your videos, and people who watch your videos will end up on your live stream, right? Like that's just how TikTok's FYP works. And I think the people that ran into my video, maybe after being exposed to the live stream, it just started gaining some traction, and then it found the right audience and it just exploded. And I think because I kept it pretty short compared to what other big viral videos were at the time, like most of them were hitting 3+ minutes. This was like 90 seconds. And I think because I took 10 seconds to express the urgency and explain the deal a little bit more than what most people did, I think that helped the conversion rate a lot.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like there was anything special. And I think that was a good learning lesson, that sometimes there is nothing special. You can make 200 great quality videos in a row, but just understand each time you do it, your videos are getting better, and it's really only a matter of time. You're just building a portfolio of sales videos. And at any time, if you make them at quality enough, they'll take off.
Yeah. Amazing. So how much did this one single video make?
Yeah. It was, so in the three from May 15th, because it got deleted May 18th. So in those 3 days, it made probably 22,000, and I can't imagine what it would have made if it was allowed to stay, because the add to carts on that video were so insane. I was getting commission sales on a deleted video on a banned account for like months after that video got deleted. So you live and learn. It was still a $52,000 month, which is insane. It could have been 75, 80, but it was 50. And I was ecstatic with that, to the point where I knew I could do this. So in June, I got a new account. I just did it again.
So you do $52,000 in a month, but you do this one single video does $20,000 plus
in 3 days.
Profit in 3 days. Okay. Now, mind you guys, Tim has a 9-to-5 job, so you make like a couple months, like 3, 4, 5 months of your income on one single 90-second TikTok Shop affiliate video.
Yeah. I made 10 months worth of my 9-to-5. And for some reason, I kept it until September. But yeah.
Guys. So for anyone, okay, and second off, you have a super high in terms of peak probably emotions, right? Like you do $20,000 in a couple days, and then it just all comes crashing down. What was your learning lesson there from a mindset perspective? Because I'm sure that's like basically like the world. It's like you're basically rich overnight, and then like God or the universe just strips it all the next day, right? And not only that, but you even played it right, whereas you continued to put in the work, and it's not like you cut everything off and took the day off. You actually had a right mindset and continued to work. So you go from 0 to having a 10 million viewed video. You do over $20,000 profit on that video. And then literally the next day, your account gets stripped. You don't even have the account, deletes the video. What were you feeling?
For the first 24 hours, it was quite a battle. I'll be honest, because that video blowing up just kind of caused a couple other videos to start blowing up. So you spent the first 24 hours thinking of what could have been. right?
Yeah.
Like I'm doing the math, I'm accounting for a video to slow down. Like you're looking at a very possible 6-figure month if that video doesn't get smoked and my account doesn't get banned because I would have kept streaming, right? So the first 24 hours were really rough as far as like just dealing with brain. It was like brain fog almost, like just so many emotions going on at once. I couldn't really think straight on what to do next. And then the next day, I was like, well, I was looking to make $3,600 a year, and I made like 13 years worth of that side hustle in a month. I told myself, I'm like, if I maybe it's just the universe telling me to go do it again.
Yeah.
I think like 3 days later, because at the time, like you're just warming up an account, right? So I got an account the next day, I warm it up. And then the end of May starts and I start streaming the same exact product, guys. And it's back down to 20, 30 viewers. I'm not making $500, $700 an hour. I'm back to 20 people. I'm making more per hour than I used to make on 20 viewers because I'm just better now than I was back then. So I'm making like 80, $90 an hour. And I'm thinking in my head, like, it's still $90 an hour, but it does kind of sting. And then a week later, it's like June 3rd, and I'm back up to $200 an hour. I'm streaming 3 to 4 hours a day. I do it for 8, 9 days, and I'm nailing everything. I'm getting better at converting, and it just starts feeding me more viewers, and I'm back to $200 a day. I was terrified of videos for a while, though. It like scarred me. That was the only time was June of last year, June and half of July. And if you're familiar with TikTok Shop and the supplement violation space back then,
Oh
you would
yeah.
understand a little bit. But I cost myself some money by not taking risks on making videos. I went, if we look at the month of June and I streamed a lot, it was like 24,000 in June. So yes, if you look
And that
at
was
it,
on
that was
so
on just live.
24,000 in June was out on a new account.
Yep. Brand new account.
Okay. So you have this account that's literally a money printer. The literal money printer is on. You do $10,000 a day, and then the next day, and then the next day again. On live and video, it's completely printing you. You're getting hundreds of views on live, even up to 1,000 views on live. Everything's going well. Then, boom, you get the account stripped away when you're having $10,000 days. Then you go to the new account. The new account is not warmed up at all in terms of the product, the live streams, the video, and you're getting 25 to 30 views. By the way, you say in your communication, you say in your speech, you're like, well, I made 13 years worth of this side hustle, and I guess this is God, universe, telling me to just keep going. Whereas you understand, most people that want to say the 99% would have said, I guess this is God telling me to quit, that this is not my thing, right? That single switch in your brain is what took you right back to a $20,000 month. Guys, it's all about mindset, right? It's truly about how you frame the issues and the perception of how you take on the world, right? It's literally the
Yes.
difference between him quitting and him doing another $20,000 a month. He could have stayed in his job or went back to his job and been completely fine. But instead, he turned around and did another 5-6 months of his job in 1 month on a new account. So for anyone saying that your account was lucky, your account, you had pure luck in terms of the account, you have a new account. And now let's go into this real quick. Just short, 25 to 30 viewers, you get dumped on in terms of viewers, but you still make money. So talk about that, because a lot of TikTok Shop affiliates think that for live streams, you need a lot of views, but it's not true. We're making 6 figures a year
Oh,
with
yeah.
little views. So talk about it.
Yeah, that was the epiphany, big one. Because on that money printing account, I would get 1,000+ people concurrent, right? And I assumed at the time, I need to get up in viewers. But when I started streaming and I was having the same viewers I was having on Knobs Toothpaste, instead of making $20 an hour, I was making 80. 80 to $90 an hour streaming to just 20 to 30 people. So then I had that epiphany. I'm like, okay, it really is about the streamer. It's about the quality of your stream, what you say, how you convince people. So then I just kept doing what I planned on doing before. I just kept grinding, because streaming 3-4 hours a day, $90 an hour, that's very good money. It just because I knew I was good and I was making money I was satisfied with. And if it went up, it went up. If it didn't, whatever. I can turn on this money printer, that I can turn on a live stream whenever and just make more money. Then viewers started coming in. I never got to the 1,000+ again. That never happened. but I did get up to like 200, 300. And this is what I try to tell people, because when I got to 200 people concurrent, I was making very close to the same hourly dollar, let's say 400, 500 bucks an hour, that I was with 1,000 people. So the viewers doesn't really matter. I mean, that was a big epiphany for me. So I kept grinding throughout June. I stayed around the 200 to 300 concurrent, and I finished with, yeah, it was a 50% drop, but I already had the understanding now that 24,000 is insane,
Insane.
just insane. And knowing I was able to do that, even with all the BS that happened previously, I'm like, oh, this is like, I'm just going to keep doing this forever. I'll get new accounts, I'll get new products. I don't care. I can do this. And then eventually, like halfway through July, I picked up on videos again, and videos started bringing in more money. But yeah, you have the confidence now. You'll learn skills that you should never throw away when you go through something like that. There's a certain set of skills, we talk about all the time, skills, beliefs, and traits that get you to that dollar amount, that new income threshold, and those skills never go anywhere. It may take a little bit, like I've mentioned to you before, Jordy, and to Six Figure Creator, our community, but it took me a couple months to break that peak of 52,500. You know, I made retainer mistakes. I was trying the wrong products, and it took me so from May to October. So it was 5 months in between me being able to beat that number again. And over the summer, going down to as low as 6,000 in commission, when I'm used to at the time 20 plus thousand, and then the $50,000 month. So those adversities or problems never really go away. But you just know that something is waiting for you if you just keep pushing.
Yeah, 100%. So let's keep going and finish where you start to actually switch, where you actually end up leaving your job and then you go into actually every first has a greater benefits. You leave your job and then you go into what? What happens next, right?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is that September of last year, I made like 7,000 in commission, right? Way below what I was used to, and like the summer just kept dropping. July, August, September, it dropped at 7,000, but 7,000 I was still incredibly grateful for. I just knew I could do something different, right? It was actually September 30th. So I get the call from my 9 to 5, my social media marketing job, and the job that I'd sacrificed. I don't even know how many tens of thousands of dollars because of the streams I turned off, or the streams I flat out didn't do because I had stuff to get done for this 9 to 5, just lays me off out of the blue. September 30th, you're laid off. October 1st is your last check. You're done. That's it. So that happened. And at the time, we're trying to get our house that we're currently in. So we're trying to get a new house. And now I don't have a W-2 to actually prove any income. So now I have an intense race against the clock to get into our new house, to figure out income. All this stuff happens at once. But for the first time in my life, the decision was clearer than any other decision I have been presented with before in my life. Like this was the clearest path I've ever seen. And I don't know if it's because of the growth it took to get there, where I just knew what to do next, or maybe it was a reward from the universe to make that hard decision for me. Maybe it knew I was never going to leave this 9 to 5, and it said, listen, for this guy to capitalize on all of the things he's done to get here, we have to do something. We have to give him another adversity. We have to remove this for him and see what he does. So then I was like, all right, F it. I'm just going to do TikTok shop full time, and we'll give it October and see what happens. And I switched products again. So at this time, guys, I've done 3 products in between micro ingredients and now Goli ashwagandha. I've done 3
And
separate products.
and you notice, guys, a pattern here. Every time he switches products, you notice the pattern. Keep going.
Yeah. So I switched to Goli now. Brand new product. At the time in October, there was a lot of Goli streamers. A
Oh yeah.
lot.
Yep.
And I was watching them. And the reason I wasn't streaming before was because of a retainer. If you're watching this, don't ever sign an exclusive retainer. Don't do it. When you get good enough, there's no amount of money that's worth an exclusive retainer. But what I will say is when I switched to Goli, because for the TikTok shop affiliate landscape, they changed everything. They brought in campaigns, they brought in boosted commissions, they brought in extra prizes, they brought in streaming bonuses. They essentially got my exclusivity without even buying it because it was just dumb not to promote them. And I took a look at the live streaming landscape and I went, you know what? The only other person that I think would compete with me with the style I want to do is Mason, our friend, and he's not streaming it. So I'm like, all right, that I can definitely beat the people that are streaming goalie right now. I have the confidence to do it, and now I have more time than I've ever had. So I start streaming goalie, 20 viewers.
Real quick.
Yeah,
In this, why did you think that you can beat them? What were they
yeah.
doing that you knew? Once
So
again,
they
recurring theme.
Yes, they were doing the what was called the screenshot method. So they took a screenshot of somebody stacking a bunch of first-time customer coupons on goalie that made the price 297 or less, all the way down to a penny for a single goalie bottle. So I was looking at that, and their entire stream was about hammering these coupons that only 30% of the people can get. So in my mind, I'm like, not only are they speaking, they're not speaking to the other 70% at all, but the other 70% can't even get these coupons. So they're probably going to be frustrated. Some people are going to see the coupons and buy, but a lot of people are going to be frustrated that it won't be 297 and they're not going to buy. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do the 3-pack bundle because it's more commission. So I don't have to sell as many. And I'm going to sell them on the benefits. I'm going to sell them on a personal story. I'm going to explain what ashwagandha even is because nobody else is doing it. And I first start out the streaming on goalie October 1st, 20 something viewers, 20 viewers, 30 viewers, but I'm making 80, 90 bucks an hour. I'm making more per hour than I was on my retainer. So I'm like, all right, this is good. You know, I'm making good money. It's going towards the campaign. It's going towards their streamer bonuses. This is going to be a good month. I can make 20K doing this. Um, and then it started getting to like the first week of October where I started getting, and I remember at the time because we had other people streaming the screenshot method, and they were all complaining that their viewers and sales were going away and mine were just going up. Right? I started getting more viewers, I started getting more sales, and then it started to I was making 150, 200 bucks an hour, 300 bucks an hour streaming goalie. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to do exactly what I did in May and I'm going to start pumping out videos again. I'm going to take the same product I stream and just pump out only that product in videos. I'm going to do 3 of them a day. And at that point, it's like after the first week of October, I was so laser focused on like beating everybody, not even in a dollar amount. Like I just wanted to see other, it sounds bad, but I wanted to see other streams drop in viewers. I wanted to see my videos. It had nothing to do with the dollar amount. I just wanted to actually test myself and see if I could do this. And at the time, no one was even streaming the 3-pack, and then it all switched, right? So it hits the middle of October and I'm still making 200 bucks an hour on goalie, which ended up being way more with their campaigns and stuff. But then videos start taking off, right? Video 1 takes off October 13th. Video 2 takes off October 15th. Video 3 takes off October 16th. But guess what? 2 of those 3 get hit with community guidelines violations. And there's smoke. They all hit 300,000 views. I'm making probably $1,000 to $2,000 a day off those videos, and 2 of the 3 get smoked with community guidelines. So those are out of commission for like 3-4 days. They eventually get reversed. One of them picks back up, the other one never does. So that video is just, it never reaches its full potential. It's done. I didn't care. I still kept streaming every day. I remember October 20th hit, and my daughter's sick. My wife is sick. I didn't get any sleep. I slept like 2 hours the night before. I see my videos are doing well, right? It's 8 p.m. I'm at $2,500 in commission. I tell myself that's a pretty good day, right? I could stop, but then I remembered back to May, and I kept streaming no matter what. So I went out there, streamed again, streamed for like 4 hours, and brought it up to 3.3 thousand. And I never even looked at the total monthly amount until it hit November. It's like November 2nd or November 3rd. And I remember calculating all the commissions from both my accounts at this time. And then I calculated the giveaway. And then I was like, wow, I think if I'm adding this up right, this is going to end up being like an $80,000 month. And the commissions settle. I make like 52,000 in commission. So I matched the commission for May. But because goalie had a campaign, a $34,000 PayPal wire comes in and skyrockets me to $86,000 in the month. And I wasn't even paying attention to the dollar amount. And it gets to the end and I'm like, wow, this is actually going to be nuts if this works out. And all of that came from switching products, switching to a new account, getting laid off from my job, and just relentless focus to wanting to be the top again, wanting to break that dollar amount again. And that was 5 months after I first exploded on TikTok Shop. So the journey wasn't like this. If you zoom out far enough, it is, right? It'll look like it's a straight line. But when you zoom in, it's like this to this to this, and then plateauing,
always,
and then skyrockets, right? So it was just filled with so many learning lessons, but just endless gratitude, and almost like just detaching from the money earned meant that, yes, the money meant nothing now. I remember calling you after hitting that dollar amount, and I was like, I don't even feel anything from this.
Yeah.
I felt nothing from that amount of money, but it also meant that now I was able to just make really good money now because I didn't care if I made it or not. I just knew what it took to get there, and I knew I needed to keep getting better. So it was a very weird feeling because you have the first month in May and there's so many emotions, and then it hits to October and it's just like almost like you not expected it, but it's not a surprise because you look back on everything that you did throughout the month and you've been here before. So it's very weird, but I just couldn't, I couldn't believe it. And then after that, it's like, all right, well, what do you do next? Like,
guys,
what's next?
Guys, the biggest thing is history rhymes. It does not repeat, but it rhymes. If you see his story, it's literally the same variables again and again. First things first, if you haven't taken one thing from this podcast, this is the biggest golden nugget of it all. Videos and, not or, and live. If you are not at 20K a month, 30K a month, 50K a month, 80K a month, if you're not one of the killers on the platform for videos that can print 100 grand a month consistently, 50 grand a month consistently with top of funnel viral videos, you're a 10 out of 10 content creator in terms of skill, or 9 out of 10 content creator in terms of skills, right? If you didn't do that yet, you need to be going live and doing videos at the same time. It's videos, not or, it's videos and live. It's the same. He just showed you the pattern. He just showed you how he went from doing AI content his first month, not making any money, then switching into UGC content and making like, a couple $100, right? He's got low expectations. He comes in. Then he goes into live streaming for the first time. He's making like $20 an hour. It's really cool. It feels good. He's making money on the internet for the first time. Then he switches product. And when he switches product, he gets a knowledge gap on the market. Well, he starts selling and he starts making like $500 in a stream, $700 an hour in a stream. But specifically, he gains a knowledge gap on the market within live streaming. So he gets more knowledge than people like me. I was competing with him at the time. We were both top 10 in terms of this product. And I was making a third of his income a third of his hourly because I was selling the sale and I didn't want to get a knowledge gap. I didn't care to. I was just selling the sale. I was having fun. And he took it a step further, went the extra mile, developed a knowledge gap that most of you watching won't do. And because of that, he tripled my income, right, in terms of live streaming. Then he goes ahead and does videos also. He stacks videos on top of live streaming. Boom. He has a video take off when he's not even expecting. He doesn't have low expectations, doesn't care. He's just putting his videos. He's focusing on the inputs. Boom, $10,000 video. And then it hits another $10,000, right? He does his full-time jobs. He does 2 months of his full-time job in one single day. In one day, a 90-second video produced 2 months of his job, okay? He's doing videos and live. Then account gets stripped. Right after the account gets stripped, you know what he does? He tells himself, well, I just made 13 years of this side hustle like I wanted to make $300 in a month. Must be God telling me to keep going, right? I might as well just keep going. What is there else to do? Whereas most people would say, this is God telling me to quit. This isn't my thing, right? There's too many problems in this business, right? Which really there isn't. It's violations, right? Then He goes to another account, does $20,000 in a month, and proves that it has nothing to do with the account. His viewers tank. What once was 500 to 1,000 average views is now 30 to 50 average views or 20 to 30 average views, and he's still making money regardless of this new account. He does videos again, right? And he has a $25,000 a month, right? Then he keeps going. He gets laid off from his job, and he switches. He ends up switching. He switches products again. He switches to Goalie this time. Goalie has a bunch of campaigns. Goalie helped with violations on the platform, etc., etc. And he switches products again, just like history just showed. He switches products. People are streaming this product at the time, but he has a knowledge gap because guys like me who just sell the sale, he comes in while everyone's focusing on the sale. He develops a knowledge gap on what Goalie Ashwagandha actually is, comes in, starts selling on a live stream, boom. He starts hitting big numbers again, okay? Not only that, but what does he do? Once again, just like Micro, he starts making videos. And what happens with the campaigns, with everything combined, he does an $84,000 a month, just after his job lays him off, right? Every adversity has equal greater benefit. Every time you guys can see the story, it's exactly like that. It goes like this, it comes down, it goes like this, right? And this repeatable formula that he's created, Tim can go and do this with any product he wants. He can come into the market, develop a knowledge gap, run a lot. It's a formula, it's a playbook to his success. It's literally like the football coach going onto the thing and saying, hey, you're going to take this run, exact route. Right now, this is your exact route. And so what he does is he comes into a new product that's trending. When that product's trending, he's going to go live on that product. He's going to develop a knowledge gap on the market. He's not just going to sell the sale. He's going to have a real story to tell. He sells a lot on the product. He believes firmly that videos and live feed each other. So he starts running live streams. The money starts picking up immediately regardless of views. He doesn't need it to be 1,000 viewers. Then he starts pushing videos, 3 a day. Those videos, and he explained the type of videos he does, those videos then feed each other with live. And boom, they always pick up. And then that is his formula to making $20,000 to $80,000 a month consistently on TikTok Shop. That right there is a literal class in a gold strategy. Like, that is what happens when you have time in the game. That is what happens when you actually have experience in business and in TikTok Shop Affiliate. TikTok Shop Affiliate program's been around for 2 years now, right? A year and a half, 2 years now, right? This is someone who's been in the game for a year, and just a year in, right? He's been here for half of the lifespan of TikTok Shop. This is what experience looks like. You get to develop a game plan so that the next product that starts trending, there's endless trending products that starts coming up, boom, he gets into, he does his exact playbook, he lays the groundwork, and boom, he ends up making a crap ton of money, right? People continue to do this in 6FC. This is like literally exactly how you can develop a good framework. It's always videos and live. That is the strategy. That is how you get to making 6 figures, almost guaranteed. You can write a check to yourself that you will make money if you go live and do videos at the same time. A lot of people think it's or, it's and, right? No excuse if you're working a 9-to-5 job. He literally just showed you that while he's working a 9-to-5 job, while he has a daughter and a wife and a family, he has a whole family, and he's still doing live streaming and videos every single day, regardless of how he felt. He was still putting in the work, lowered expectations, and he didn't compare himself to anyone, and he just kept grinding, right? That right there, my friends, is a playbook. Tim, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Is there any, before we wrap up, give a beginner and advanced, let's go beginner first. We're going to do a beginner tip, like what they should be doing. We just pretty much said videos and live, but what they should be doing, kind of a couple key tips for a beginner TikTok Shop affiliate.
So if you're brand new to TikTok Shop Affiliate, I'm going to assume you're pretty brand new to content, period. The number one tip I can give you is to be ruthlessly honest with yourself and the content that you create. So I'll give you 2. Make more content because you're not going to be very good. And you'll know when you're not very good because you're honest with yourself. And if you nail those 2 things, you will start finding success and make better videos far quicker than I did, because I did not take the leap in the beginning. I wasted my time with AI videos. If I would have made more, if I would have started with UGC and made 5 videos a day, and I was just as honest with myself at the beginning as I was in late April after 6 weeks of doing it, it would have happened a lot quicker. So if you're a beginner, That's what I would like. You can obviously you're going to get into the program, you're going to watch other videos, you'll learn from them, right? That's part of it. That's all a proxy of these two tips. But be honest with yourself, okay? And then you have to, what did I say? I said be honest with yourself. And then I said what were
It's all
those
good.
two
We can cut
things?
it. We can cut it
Yeah.
there. I'm more worried
Yeah.
about the clip. Okay. Okay, now Tim, for an advanced TikTok shop affiliate, making 10, 20 grand a month, what should they not do? Like, what should they look out for when they start to make money?
Yeah, that's a good one. When you're starting to make $20,000 a month, you really have to watch out for complacency. You really do. That's going to be the number one killer. If you're doing videos and you're doing live, which you should, you need to take a very objective look at what you're doing and what other people are doing. And at 20,000 should now be your new bare minimum. That should be your bare minimum. This does not mean if you make $18,000 in a month, you're upset with yourself. Because if you're actually trying and getting uncomfortable and doing the things necessary to make $50,000 a month, they will happen. I just told you I went from 52,500 to 24,000 to 8,000 to 7,000 and then back up to 84. So that's part of the journey. But if you're advanced, it is absolutely complacency. Take a look at your content, take a look at your streams, figure out where you can improve them and how you can get to the next level.
100%. Okay, guys, that will go ahead and wrap up episode number 1 of the Six Figure Creator Podcast with the general of 6FC, Tim. As always, your host, Jordy here. We will see you guys next week with Coach Mason on how he made multi-six figures with TikTok Shop Affiliate live stream. So make sure you guys comment, make sure you guys subscribe, but go ahead and comment down below. What do you guys want to see more of since this is the first episode? Do you want to see more tips? Do you want to hear more stories? What do you want to actually see from this podcast to get the most value out of? That is the entire goal of the podcast, is to grow you as a TikTok Shop affiliate. So like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.